was royalty. So, Nadezhda Alliluyeva. Okay. Let me show you guys some pictures. And as we go through, I will show you some pictures of who exactly this woman was. Okay, so she was the wife of Joseph Stalin, the second wife of Joseph Stalin. There's a good picture of her. It's probably one of the better pictures of her. Okay, where is it taking me? Okay. Okay, that's taking way too long to load. Okay, now there's a good picture. If that really is her, which I do think it is, that's a good picture of her. So, Nadezhda Alliluyeva is, or was, Stalin's second wife and mother of Vasily Stalin. And I believe she had a daughter as well, Svetlana, which is a surviving daughter. So there is a bloodline that's still alive today. So, if you're watching, right? If you're watching. So, I want to be careful what I say. But no, this woman is a tragic story by how she died and what happened. Her story is very tragic. And really, the Soviet Union, if you study the Soviet Union, the history books of the Soviet Union, it really is a tragic, sad type of play. Now, the Russians are their history is much more interesting, much more play-like, much more fiction-like. The Russians were incredible writers, incredible playwrights, a lot of art, incredible art. There's a lot of feeling in that numbing look to the old Soviet Union. And Nadezhda is a perfect example of the Soviet Union at the time. Just that look. She has the look. She, makes you wonder who she really was. But her death is much more interesting. And really, this goes back to the whole rise of communism. She was the second wife of Joseph Stalin. She was born in Baku to a revolutionary. And she was not born rich. She was not born wealthy. And her death is what I want to focus on. So, on November 9th, 1932, after a public spat with Stalin, her husband at a dinner party, she was angry, enraged at the government's collectivization policies, and the story goes that she shot herself out of defiance for her husband's policies, for her husband's collectivization policies. So she did it out of defiance. The official cause of death, of course, was appendicitis. So this is a very important story in history. And she was portrayed, I guess there was a story written about her um, where she was played by Julia Ormond. So anyway, she's a very important figure in history, and that she died young. She was only 31 when she died. She left tons of wealth, tons of, she had so much money, so much wealth, and she didn't want to see people starving in the streets, and she killed herself, of course, again, out of defiance of her husband's policies, and we are pretty sure that that is what happened. We are almost positive at this point that she did commit suicide. There were some rumors that maybe her husband killed her, but that's never been corroborated, and circumstance would lead you to believe more on the suicide part, rather than murder. So she left behind 2 children, Vasily Zhugashvili, who is Stalin's son, and Svetlana Alliluyeva, of course, was her daughter, who died in 2011. And so, in this series of important people, important arcs of history that I'm creating, this woman is right at the top for me. This woman is a tragic. I don't know if you want to call her a hero, but she's certainly a character in the arc of history, and I wish she was mentioned more than she was. So that is part of this series that I'm doing on important people that history will remember. Nadezhda Alliluyeva. If you study Russian history, Nadezhda would be considered a queen, would be considered royalty. She's certainly probably one of the wealthiest women in the world at the time, if not the wealthiest woman at the time. And her death really signifies two competing narratives, whereas she seemed to have it all, but yet she didn't. There was something missing, and that obviously she killed herself out of defiance. Her death is important, and I wish she would get more praise. Let's go ahead and read about her death. Accounts of contemporaries and Stalin's letters indicate that he was much disturbed by this event. Of course, Joseph did not show up at her funeral. The people that did, the Russian people did, but her husband did not. Now, she was born, I know I'm all over the place here, but this is a new mini-series. So, she was born in Baku. So I believe she was Georgian. Let's see, Baku, Caucasus. Okay, she was born in the Caucasus of the Russian Empire on September 22nd, 1901. And she died at the Kremlin. I believe she died in the Kremlin, yes. She shot herself in the chest at the Kremlin. You know, a Russian author could not have written a better plot in a story. But this is real life. This happened. Alliluyeva family was a source of assistance and refuge. After the revolution, Nadezhda worked as a confidential co-clerk in Lenin's office. She eschewed fancy dress, makeup, and other trappings that she felt unbefitting for a proper Bolshevik. Joseph married her when Stalin was already a 40-year-old widower, father of one son, Yakov, born to Stalin's first wife, Kato, who I will cover in a later episode. Nadezhda and Joseph had 2 children together, Vasily, who became a fighter pilot at Stalingrad, and Svetlana, their daughter, born in 1926, according to her close friend Polina Shemshushina. The marriage was strained and the 2 argued frequently. Stalin was unfaithful and Nadezhda suspected this. Okay, guys, I'm going to do more on this later. Let me show you some more pictures of her. There she is, Nadezhda Alliluyeva. There's another picture of her. Let's see. Just so you guys can see this. There she is. I wish I could get this bigger, but hopefully you guys can see the very few pictures that we have of her. Very important pictures. They tell history, and there she is. So, very tragic story. If you really read into Russian history, very tragic. Russia's history is amazing, but it's also sad. There's a picture of her. Alright, okay, guys. Like, comment, share. I'm going to get off here. Toodles. Peace out. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.